What's going on, guys? We're back with another YouTube video. So as you guys know, Welcome to Derry finished up about a week ago. I gave my review on the show if you guys want to check that out. Obviously, I liked it by the title of the video. Now, unfortunately, the show wasn't for everyone, which that's fine. The show isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea. But what's funny is the worst takes I've seen on the show seem to come from a certain crowd of people. As you guys know, Welcome to Derry takes place during a controversial time in US history where stuff like racism and discrimination were pretty prevalent, and the show did not shy away from this at all, as they shouldn't. Thank you, HBO, for staying on business. As you can imagine, there were quite a few people that were quite triggered by the fact that racism was displayed and called out so fiercely the way it was in the show. Not because, they are racist or anything, but because, they're just so tired of shows telling them that racism is bad, and they're so tired of being beat over the head with it. Now, I already know what you're gonna say. You're gonna say, well, racism is bad. The same way that bullying is bad, the same way that harassment is bad, the same way that abuse is bad. And there's tons of shows and movies that tell you that these things are bad. So with that being said, assuming you're not racist, you really shouldn't have any issue with Welcome to Derry telling you that racism is bad, because assuming you aren't racist, it shouldn't bother you. Well, thank you, common sense viewer who represents the common sense mindset and average person. Me and you think the exact same way. So join me as we point and laugh and debunk some of the bad takes coming off of Welcome to Derry. We're going to be taking a look at a couple of Reddit posts, as well as responding to a video calling the show too woke, because of course that's obviously the best form of media critique, am I right? But before we get into this, y'all be sure to drop a like and subscribe. The year's almost up. Genuinely hope that y'all had a good 2025. With that being said, let's start with getting into some of these Reddit posts. The extremely heavy focus on racism in Welcome to Derry detracts from the horror. Okay, let's hear about. Seriously, I get that white Americans have their guilt. I even understand that the racial relations theme was touched up on in the books, but holy shit does it become repetitive and heavy-handed. But goddamn, if I wanted to see a movie about the civil rights movement, I'd put on Mississippi Burning or something like that where it's a central theme, not a fucking horror TV show. Okay, first off, the civil rights movement isn't even a huge focus in the show. It's just alluded to because of the time period it takes place in. Not to mention, if you have an issue with the way racism is depicted here, then you must really have an issue with the book it's based on. Because if anything, the show held back certain aspects. They had white kids in the book beating up black kids and calling them the N-word with the hard ER pretty frequently. Racism has always been somewhat of a focus in the It novels. Hell, it's literally the whole point. Pennywise utilizes and exploits racism as a form of fear, just like he does with other fears to keep his feeding spree going. The tropes just don't fucking stop. All the white families depicted are extremely toxic. Clement's family, Lily's mom, Teddy's father and brother, not of course the Native and African American ones.
Stop it. Get some help.
Oh my god, dude. All of this is literally explained in the show. Most of the residents of Derry have their most negative impulses amplified because of Pennywise's influence and his effect on the water supply. Leroy and his family aren't affected initially because they literally just moved to Derry. The indigenous characters in the show were literally part of an order to monitor Pennywise, so that's why they're resistant to Pennywise's influence. But, if you actually paid attention to the show, you would know this. 2, obviously, the cops, politicians, and public defenders are not only racist, but actively plotting against an innocent black man. Wow, it's almost like this show takes place during the exact time period where stuff like that was happening.
No way!
Also, 90% of random Derry inhabitants depicted are being constantly, openly racist, including school faculty, students, random people on the street. Yeah, so this was already explained earlier. The reason why residents are like that is because, again, Pennywise influences and amplifies all the negative emotions and feelings with the residents in the town, and racism is included in that. Number 3, the federal government, i.e. the white man, foolishly encroaches on dangerous Native American land, just like the settlers, out of greed and foolishness. Watch the 4th episode of my brother, and when Charlotte visits Frank in jail, I literally hit pause before Frank explained why he lied about his alibi and told my brother watch this thing be about him fucking a married white woman. Oh, you mean like what they actually did throughout history? I mean, I don't know what to tell you, man. Unfortunately, this was just how American history was. All the show is doing is portraying that history, my guy. Racism was indeed so bad where whenever white people desired to get with black partners, they were shunned by other white people. This is just what happened historically.
Norma? Norma Price? Should be ashamed. Go home. Now!
I will reiterate, I get why white guilt exists. They did some shitty things, but why in the fuck do I, a Southeastern European born in the 90s, need to have this rubbed in my face nonstop in a TV show about a cosmic entity?
Shut up, bitch!
Well, all these complaints all of a sudden start to make a lot more sense now. What this is telling me is that this show wasn't made for you. I'm not sure why you being European matters. I think anyone would be able to comprehend why racism is bad and understand the messages behind that. I mean, the show itself is headed by a non-American. You, as a European, you're going, why should I care? Technically, you don't have to, right? You don't have to care about this show. This is like watching a Korean show like Squid Game and then asking a dumbass question like, why should I care about stuff that happens in Korea? Why do I need to care about the classism going on in Korea? Why is it being pushed in my face? I mean, you technically don't have to care, but at the same time, it's not your story to tell. You know, I'm very sorry if that offends you, but that's just the truth. Not to mention, all the stuff we just went through is important because it's literally the entire point of the story. Pennywise uses fear, hate, and division, things that are very prominent throughout American history, to maintain his food source. That's the way it was in the books, that's the way it was in the movies, and now the show. The show is very accurately adapting the source material. In It, Welcome to Derry, the writers stupidly made the decision to make everything woke by focusing on racism, something that Stephen King never did and wouldn't exist in the North anyway. Yeah, so that first part just straight up proved that he has not read or done any research on Stephen King whatsoever. Again, racism was absolutely a focus in the It novels. Now, I'm not gonna pretend like I'm some hardcore Stephen King fan. Like, I've read bits and pieces of the novel, but even I was smart enough to at least do my due diligence to confirm like whether what the show was doing was accurate or not. And not to mention, Stephen King is woke. He's literally woke. He's like hardcore progressive, and that's not bad. Like, X-Men is woke and the stories are amazing. Just because something is woke doesn't make it bad. And yes, racism absolutely existed in the North. You would know this if you bothered to do a modicum of research instead of depending on the North good, South bad mentality you were taught in elementary school. Once again, very sorry if that offends you, but that's the truth. Now, let's get to the video here. It, Welcome to Derry, is woke garbage.
It, Welcome to Derry is propagandized, modernized, poorly written, poorly acted woke garbage, and let me explain why. Yes, there would likely be some racial elements taking place at the time in 1962, of course, but this show takes it to cartoonish levels and perpetually beats you over the head with it. Pennywise himself seems to take a back seat to it all.
I love how he puts up in the search bar that quote-unquote Pennywise doesn't show up until the end of Derry, when that's not even true. It's literally told to you in the script that Pennywise utilizes multiple forms, so it's not really taking a backseat to anything. If you're talking about his physical form, he literally starts showing up halfway through the season, so already we starting off on some nonsense.
And when I asked Google if there was any racial lynchings in Maine where Derry is located, it says this: Maine is generally considered a state without any recorded racial lynchings. Authoritative sources like the NAACP and the Tuskegee Institute, which kept extensive records of lynchings from the 1880s to the mid-20th century, lists Maine as one of the few states with no recorded lynchings in that period.
Excuse me?
No, I don't think I will.
So the plotline of cheating with a married white woman in fear of being lynched in Maine doesn't really match up to the reality of this particular area of the United States.
You missed a pretty important key word there, Buster. No recorded lynchings in Maine. That doesn't mean lynchings didn't happen there. It just means that if they did happen, they weren't recorded. Even if it wasn't necessarily lynching, racism did exist in Maine, even if it wasn't, say, as prominent as other states. But we also have to keep in mind that here in Derry, Pennywise is amplifying it. So in this universe, it would absolutely get to that level given enough time. I'm not sure what point he's making here with Derry not 100% reflecting the reality of Maine, because it really doesn't need to. Derry is a made-up place. It's not real. They don't have to exactly abide by reality one-to-one. It is probably true that lynching wasn't as prominent in Maine. There also, as far as I know, wasn't a fucking supernatural killer clown abducting children during that time period either that we know of. So again, this just seems to be like you're just cherry picking aspects that you don't like and whining about it.
All the white characters, psychopathic, racist, manipulative, shallow liars, while every single black character are perfect, blameless, moral victims, in perpetual disbelief of the mean and evil white people.
So again, this isn't true. All white people are not evil in the show. You have two of the main characters who are white in the form of Lily and Marge, who are flawed, but ultimately the good guys of the show. You have three other characters who are dead, but still worth bringing up, like Phil, Teddy, and Maddie, who are the good guys in the show. And you have Leroy's military partner, Polly, who is or was a good guy. So this narrative of all white people bad, black people are good is literally not true. And while we're at it, you can't even say all white characters in the show are racist either. We just mentioned the main white characters. And then there's Shaw. While he did end up being a bad guy for different reasons, he wasn't racist. And Ingrid, although she's an antagonist, she isn't racist. Most of the stuff she does in the show are out of her Stockholm syndrome to Pennywise. There were even instances of non-racist white people in the show that we saw at the black spot, and she literally gets chastised for being with black people. So no, this whole all white characters are bad, all black people are good narrative is not true.
Psychic with mental superpowers that the military is using for a main plot of the show, and superpowers of bravery and fearlessness which can be used to outsmart dumb racist rednecks in the military.
You mean the outsmarting that was a test that proved that while yes, the guy was racist, he was ultimately innocent of the crime of attacking Leroy in his room? It was actually one of the black characters that did that? Did you just watch the show with your eyes closed or something?
And his son, extremely high IQ kid that perpetually reads and logically knows absolutely everything and is infinitely polite. All absolute perfect characters in their own way.
Okay, so a black kid can't be book smart or polite now, I guess, without it being political. Also, it's funny how he makes it seem like all the black characters are perfect, but like he intentionally leaves out Roddy, and I'm sure he does this on purpose because she was very clearly shown to be flawed. Like, she's vulgar at times and can't control her emotions, and she even outright teases Will initially for being book smart. Not to mention, Leroy got tricked into shooting his partner and outright has an emotional outburst against his son later on, and he's criticized for it. So no, every black character isn't morally perfect in their own way. Nice try though.
Yes, I know this dude is supposed to be the same dude from The Shining. The white kids, all vulgar, mean bullies. The kids' level of vulgarity is written in a modern sort of way. Schoolgirls talking about buttholes and shit, ruthlessly manipulating each other, extremely mean, coordinated bullying with large amounts of kids, of a girl who lost her father and who has mental problems. A little unrealistic. Kids in the 1960s likely would not speak with the level of vulgarity shown in this show.
How is this unrealistic exactly? Like, let's not pretend that kids haven't said vulgar shit or acted a certain way when their parents aren't around. I'm pretty sure that this goes for the 60s as well. Racist kids were a thing in the 60s, troubled teens were a thing in the 60s as well, so it's not completely unrealistic at all.
The store clerk talking about how it's good to see some diversity around here. Again, not ways in which people in the 1960s would have spoke.
Also, if we're gonna be technical, the guy said variety, not diversity, so you technically just lied there.
The black mother in shock with the white kids beating up and bullying another kid. All the townsfolk adults all just think it's normal and okay. Again, the black person is the moral hero and all the white people are psychopaths.
Yeah, so we already explained this in the edit section. The reasoning behind why all the residents are seemingly complicit is because of Pennywise's longtime manipulation of the city's atmosphere. Charlotte, being new to the area, doesn't know or understand this. It's not as simple as one race good, one race bad, but please keep going. Please keep showing us how easily triggered you are.
Not to mention the show's plot is just a dumb ripoff of Stranger Things, with the addition of military involvement not found in the original novel.
So the show having the military in it makes it a ripoff of Stranger Things. Again, you haven't actually explained why these additions to the story are bad.
It will be revealed that Pennywise was actually the good guy, and he was right in taking out these evil kids because they would have grown up to be evil racists. Psychopathic white cops just joking about the horrific unaliving of 3 kids without a care or concern in the world. Every single time they're on screen, they just ooze racism in every single action and mannerism that they do. Is the fallen star or star striking the earth just a metaphor for Lucifer? Clearly. It also literally operates as a metaphor for Europeans arriving in America. When the Native Americans are battling with it literally takes the form of a Christian missionary. A clear focus on the cross in this scene representing it. Subtle, eh?
No, it's not subtle. It's never been subtle. This is the same energy the Reddit guys were giving off where the dude was saying, why should I care about racism in a show about a cosmic entity who abducts children, while simultaneously ignoring that he literally feeds on racism. That's the whole point. It's never been subtle, my dude. Again, if you don't like that, you could just not watch the show. It's like this crowd of people just intentionally tune out certain aspects of the show that they don't want to engage with, like the racism themes, because it's easier to do that instead of putting any actual effort into changing.
Of course, it's the white girl Marge's fault that the black theater worker will be blamed for the horrific murder of the 3, or was it 2 white kids? 3 or 2? I don't know. It depends who you ask and when you ask them.
It's literally explained in the show that it's not completely Lily's fault. They explain how she doesn't want to be seen as the crazy kid like before. They show how the corrupt police officer manipulated her into giving a faux pas answer that led to Hank's arrest. You actually had to be watching the show with your eyes closed if you're reducing this to, well, of course it's the white girl's fault. No, you're just stripping all the scenes of context.
The super high IQ black kid that knows how to develop pictures with chemistry for some reason is for some reason disliked by the dumb white mean teacher that falsely blames him for the stink bomb that the white fat boy threw. Over and over and over, the same theme finds its way into every aspect of the show. Black people are victims of white people and simultaneously the hero of all circumstances, over and over and over. Could argue it and its evil influence is what makes these evil white racists even worse.
Congrats, man. You just explained it. You just explained why this entire video of you ranting was meaningless. Oh, wait, there's more.
But by some miracle, all of the black people in town are completely immune from being affected and influenced to behave and act in the same evil way.
Except Derry is a majority white town. They made that pretty clear that black people living in Derry is extremely rare, if at all. And all the other black characters in the show, other than the Hanlons like Halloran and the other side characters, are at the military base, which is outside of Derry and therefore outside of Pennywise's influence. Pay attention, my guy.
And NPC, midwit, woke lunatics will watch the show, praise it for confirming their intersectional hate for white people in America, and give them more fuel for openly hating and despising white people, sometimes causing them to attack random Ukrainian girls on trains, or 4.0 high school football players that like to follow the rules at high school events. These same themes built into every goddamn modern show or piece of advertising, intersectionality aimed at hating white people, Christianity, and America over and over and over, drilled into the heads of the unconscious and dumb and hateful.
What is my man talking about? White people are not hated. Racist white people are hated. Believe it or not, those two things are not mutually exclusive. And I have no clue what the fuck he's talking about, where he brings up some like Ukrainian girl who was killed by a black person, because apparently a mentally unstable lunatic with paranoid schizophrenia represents all of black people now. I don't know. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for the response and for this video. Let me know what you guys think. These racists are mad, bro. They are mad. This show is peak. Stay triggered. If you like what you see, be sure to like the video, share, comment on the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for an awesome 2025. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.